Today I'm going to be taking you on a tour of my 1990 Grumman Olson step van. I recently purchased this vehicle. It was originally a mechanic's truck, but the previous owner has already done a lot of camperized modifications to it. So this video is going to be really interesting for me to go back and watch in a couple months after I've made all the modifications, which I will be documenting and sharing with you guys. It'll be interesting to see the changes, because right now the camper side of things is functional in a jerry-rigged sort of way. I don't particularly like the way that really anything that the previous owner did to the van looks, so I'm going to be tearing it all out and redoing it. A lot of reused materials. There's some already in the back there, so unfortunately we won't get a completely fresh experience, because a large part of the back is taken up with the wood that I found and reclaimed in the previous video. So let me take you with me and I will show you about this vehicle. Okay, so the door into the cab is just a sliding door like this, and it goes into a pocket in this wall here. Now this is the back of the camper. As you can see, there's a lot of wood on the floor here. These are old boards that I got from my old roommate, and the boards on the bed are the hemlock tongue and groove, which I'm going to use to do the ceiling and maybe some of the walls. The one nice thing about this camper right now is these wood floors are really nice, and then this wood stove is really quite phenomenal. I can't wait to try it out, but as with a lot of things in this van, it leaks. So I really want to get up on top and fix the problems with that before I fire it up. And actually, it used to be over here, but that has since been, it's been moved, and that has been plugged in one of the most bizarre manners that I have ever seen. It beggars description. So, coming in, I've got some kindling on the ground here, water, which has just been attached to that for now for the move from Vancouver to Nelson. These here, the previous owner wanted to use them for water. There's some sort of canister there. And then this is a pressurized tank which can be used to take a shower. Now, I haven't tried using that thing yet, but apparently you need to be very careful with that. So I'm going to approach this one with caution, because there is a hole in the roof from when the lid flew off. It lost pressure, and it made this hole right up here. So while we're here, I might as well mention that this fuse box is attached to a mains hookup on the outside of the van, and this basically runs, the only thing running off of that at the moment is this AC outlet. So this is a little sectional here. This is a little strange. I think they just decided to make it longer and didn't want to reupholster anything. But under here is the battery, which is on a relay to the alternator, and this is a power inverter, but I believe that is actually broken at the moment. The reason why these walls stick out here is because the pocket doors need somewhere to slide in. There's a really big mirror on this wall. Hi. And that one's kind of cool, but I think it will have to eventually go. There's a lot of shelves and stuff on the walls that kind of fell off because they weren't properly secured. They were sort of hanging like you might hang a picture. Let me put the flashlight here again. So those will sort of come off. These ones are properly secured, and nothing on that shelf came off because there is a lip. Next to the wood stove, we have the sink and a 3-burner propane range. And I'm just going to try and step back here a little bit, get you some more shot. It's very small, and it's just sort of functional there. There is a piece that goes over the sink so that you can have that as counter space. Now, underneath of the sink, only this door opens. The sink empties into a bucket right here. And basically that blue thing of water that I showed you earlier is the only source of water. Now, behind here, if I reach in and move that, let me see, is a propane canister. Now this propane canister is right next to the bed. There is no LP detector, there is no smoke detector, and there is no carbon monoxide detector. And there's a can of pressurized gas directly next to where you sleep in an enclosed space. Enough said about that. So the bed right now has all the hemlock tongue and groove on it, and it does lift up. There is some storage underneath of it, but it is maybe you can see this. It might be a little hard to tell. Just a bed. It's like an actual twin bed that they've put in the back here. I believe it's a twin. That looks like a twin to me. But yeah, it lifts up their storage underneath of it. This back wall here, there is drywall. They've actually drywalled right over the rolling door. You can see some of the mechanical stuff up there for it. That should still function, but the wood for the door is in such bad shape that I'm going to probably have to replace the entire door. But I would like to have a functional door, and I would like to replace this with a false wall, just because there's no. I'm almost certain there's mold back there growing on the insulation based on the outside of the door. So there's one other thing that we haven't shown you, and that is this escape hatch. It can be opened, and there's a bit of insulation that you can put in here. So it can be opened, it can be accessed to the outside, but it is not a skylight, which is kind of a shame, because there are no windows in here, and it would be nice to get some and or make some skylights, but it is accessible. But right now there's so much snow on the roof that we're not going to bother doing that. There's two lights here. Both of these lights run off of the battery, the leisure battery, and there's one other light in the cab of the vehicle which also runs off of that leisure battery. So that's the back of the vehicle. Right now, and it may not quite show up on this video because I'm not using the GoPro, I'm using a normal camera here. It may not quite seem like it, but there's actually quite a lot of space. I had about 4 other people, I believe, back here, and it was perfectly comfortable. So going into the cab, there's actually quite a lot of space here in the cab as well, and I'll show you some stuff about the cab. So basically, right now I've got this up here, which, if the camera will focus, is basically just a board, and this board comes down and goes behind the passenger seat with its twin for the other side. And then there are these are just like shades that go up and down for when you're driving. But we have these roll down curtains, so that if you were parked somewhere and you wanted to use the cab, you could have your privacy. So they're not. Once you use those, you kind of kill your stealth though, because then people know that you're in there and you're sort of trying to hide. So there are 2 chairs. There's a captain's chair and a passenger chair. This seat belt was one of the first modifications that I put in the vehicle because there was no passenger seat belt. And my understanding is that it's not even legal to drive even if you don't have a passenger in a van if you don't have a passenger seat belt. But I wanted to be able to take some people around Vancouver, so I installed that right away. We've got some shelves back here which do limit how far back the captain's chair can go, and I must admit that I did kind of find that really annoying when we were driving home from Vancouver. Up above the seats we have this rack here, which is kind of going off the wall there, and it has just some random mechanical equipment that came with the van. There was a lot of stuff that he just sort of had lying around that he just threw in with the van, and that's all up there. Nothing came out of here. This is actually pretty secure. These are in no way, shape, or form to be considered secure. They come off like that. It's just a board. So while we were driving, this board here kept flying off, and I was giving a ride share to someone to help pay for gas, and it kept flying off, and he had to kind of catch it every time. So let's just put that back up there. Yeah, you can kind of see it's not the most secure thing in the world. There's a lot of space here, but things just kind of fly off. This is not a very good radio, and it's not at all secured. It was just attached by the cords that were connecting it to the battery and whatnot. So that one was also a bit of a hazard there. Now, this locking mechanism here is for the passenger door, and it doesn't work. This bit here works, but the actual key does not. This light here, if you flick that, turns on this light here, and that is connected to the leisure battery. So you can actually have light in the cab and not drain your starter battery. So I'm going to sit in the captain's chair here and sort of show you what's what. And sorry there's so much like flare and stuff. It's so bright out. I installed this so I'd be able to navigate. Your phone just clips in right there. Then this is the panel for the vehicle. So all these switches here, and they all kind of do different things. This is the lights. This is the windshield washer, which is only one side because that side's broken. It makes a really loud, annoying noise. It turns on the heat and the fan. This, and this, I believe don't actually work. That's the horn. This is the windshield wiper fluid. This is a kill switch for the engine. So I found that one out the hard way. Because we ran through all this stuff when I bought the vehicle, but because they all look the same and they're all kind of right next to each other, I kind of forgot. And yeah, that kills the vehicle. This one I don't think does anything. And then this is a light that only comes on if you have the key. Got a cup holder there. Down here, high beams. And then just the brakes and whatnot. So it's just a regular automatic there, shifting with that. Parking brake is disconnected. These you can put signs in, and I'm thinking that maybe I have to move it or maybe I have to change it, but that would be a good place to put a window, because then you can put a sign in and cover it up when you're in the city. Gas tank right there. And these tires here, it's a dually. There's 2 tires in the back, 1 in the front per side. I put new tires on here because I needed to take it over 3 passes to get it here. So they've got mud and snow tires on them now. Front ones are brand new. The 2, or I guess the 4 in the back are off a previously owned vehicle, but the tread is still good. And those were a huge savior coming back over those passes to Nelson here. So let's take you around the back. So this got really dirty on the drive back. This is the roll door, and there's basically a lot of stuff that just doesn't work here. So there's these lights here. They're not connected to anything. If I put a backup camera on, it would be nice to connect them back up. But here's, you can sort of see the problem with the wood here. So this is, that's spongy, right? Like that's not good. And basically this thing doesn't lift up because it's been secured from the inside there. And the one thing that it doesn't have that I would have wanted it to have, but we'll fix it later, maybe get one at some point, is a tow hitch, so that I could take my motorcycle with me. But no tow hitch for now. So thank you for watching this tour of the Grumman Olson step van. This is just what my template is to begin with, and hopefully we'll begin to see some progress being made on this mobile home very, very soon. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.